New at 5, Live 5 News has confirmed that the new Charleston Housing Authority CEO was terminated from his previous position in Virginia. The Housing Authority announced Nathan Sims Jr. as their new CEO this morning and said he comes to Charleston directly from serving as the executive director of the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority in Virginia. Well, a statement on the Norfolk Redevelopment and Housing Authority's website from November of last year confirms their board voted to terminate Sims' employment there, effective immediately at the time. Now, that statement does not provide context as to why Sims was terminated from that position. Charleston Housing Authority Board Chairman Greg Vaught released a statement saying the Charleston Housing Authority engaged in a nationally respected search firm to conduct a comprehensive, thorough vetting and search process that produced several qualified candidates for its CEO position. The Charleston Housing Authority was aware of Mr. Sims's prior employment. We are also aware of the article published today. We are closely reviewing the article's assertions and will share updates as appropriate. Now, the article Vaught is referring to was published by WHRO Public Media in Norfolk today and makes many allegations as to what led to Sims's termination. Live 5 News is working to independently verify those claims.